This is the China Hollywood Greenlight Podcast, episode 32.
And rolling sound, quiet.
Here we go. Ready.
Speeding. 120, take 7.
And action.
This is Caryn McCann, the host of the China Hollywood Greenlight Podcast, a podcast about creating and distributing content for both Hollywood and China. If you like the show, please go to iTunes, subscribe, and leave a rating so other people can find this podcast. The more we work together, the more opportunities will be out there for everyone. Any links mentioned in the podcast can be found in the show notes at chinahollywoodgreenlight.com/podcast, and look for this episode, which is number 32. Before I introduce today's guest, I'd like to start out with a motivational quote to encourage our listeners to continue on their path to achieving their own green light. And today's quote is from American author Mark Twain. And he said, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do other than the ones you did do. Sail away from safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sail. Explore, dream, discover. If you want to get my free ebook called Co-Production Targets, you can download from my membership website, The China List, at www.chnlist.com. Again, www.chnlist.com. In it, I list the top companies you should target and their contact details. There are chapters on 1, the U.S. majors, 2, the Chinese major studios, 3, the U.S. independents, 4, the Chinese independents, 5, Chinese who think outside the box, and 6, Chinese companies in Los Angeles. A quick update on what I'm working on. I'm busy with my membership website, The China List. This is a platform to connect writers, producers, and financiers in Hollywood and China. Producers, directors, creative execs, and sales and distribution agents can get free membership. Besides the writers' membership, which enables writers to get their work in front of producers in Hollywood and China, I also launched a new product. It's a private writing jobs page that producers can post tailored requests for screenplays and writing assignments for free. Now, do writers need a Chinese-American co-production script to find jobs on the China List? No. Chinese studios are looking for Western writers to help make their scripts more appealing to a Western audience. Conversely, American studios are looking for Chinese writers to help make their projects more appealing to the Chinese market. By joining the membership and getting access to our private writing jobs page, writers can find more opportunities for writing assignments as well as apply for private script submissions. I'm also working on 2 TV pilots and have producers waiting for a limited location script I've started, so lots of writing ahead. Today's guest is David L. Suarez, a producer and distribution executive with a track record in China. Here is the main segment. Today's guest is David L. Suarez, who has over 15 years of experience in entertainment finance, acquisitions, distribution, and executive film production with major projects distributed to domestic and international markets. These entertainment projects were co-productions that required financing strategies to raise capital through various long-form agreements and PPMs, private placement memorandums, for projects as well as a media fund. Mr. Suarez has managed teams in various countries. He himself is based in various territories, which enabled him to attract international partners, investors, line producers, festivals, sellers, attorneys, acquisitions, and post-production teams, as well as writers and talent. Throughout the years, David L. Suarez has attended all major markets, including Marche du Film and MIP, France, EFM, Germany, TIFF, Canada, Busan, Korea, Filmart, Hong Kong, Shanghai and Beijing Market, China, Ventana Sur, Argentina, BAM, Colombia, NAPTI, and AFM, USA, and Discop, the Czech Republic, and South Africa. Mr. Suarez's latest book is called Forever Twilight in New York. Well, David, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Caryn. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you again, even though it's over video. Next time, hope to see you in person.
No. That's right.
Now, I gave the audience a brief overview. Why don't you take a minute and tell us about yourself personally and your business?
All right. Well, I have been in this business for a long time in the film financing, production, and distribution of movies. We have been doing this for over 15 years. I started with a German company called Capture Films. We were focusing on producing and distributing female-oriented movies. Then after, I joined a company called Quantum Releasing, and we were doing a lot of action movies, family movies, dramas, that kind of stuff. We were raising capital through various long form agreements, CPMs. We were making like around 3-5 movies per year.
Wow.
Budgets were around $5 to $12 million. And then with other partners, we decided to create a new company, a much bigger company called Eating Ifni Pictures. So we did that in 2009. We have been very successful. And I have been producing maybe one movie per year. And we distribute probably, I would say, 7 movies per year domestically. And internationally, we sell around 15 to 25 movies per year.
Wow.
And then I love to write. And then I just saw a few weeks ago, I finished a book that is going to be published this year. It's called Forever Twilight in New York.
Yes,
it's about the Twin Towers, about this horrible attack that we had in New York.
Right.
And this book is something that I have been working for many years, and now it's ready. And September 11 is the launch.
Oh, wow.
So that's cool.
Wow, that is cool. That is cool, and good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you've got experience in many areas. Distribution, finance, producing. I know no 2 days are the same, but for our audience, and what are 2 or 3 main tasks you do on a quote typical day?
I mean, we basically I focus on reading contracts,
okay,
and making sure that all provisions are clear on our agreements with buyers, with producers, with investors. And I make sure that everything reads well. I make sure that all parties involved, they understand what we are signing.
Right.
And that's basically what I focus on.
So how do you find these business partners? And a follow-up question is, how do you suggest the listeners find perhaps a Chinese, because you've been in China, perhaps find a Chinese business partner?
I mean, for producers,
yes,
basically our company has been around for many years. So they approach us, they send their projects, screenplays, promos of, trailers, finished projects. It all depends. We work with producers that they have a project in development, pre-production, production, post-production, ready for delivery, all the stages. For investors, we have been working with certain partners for many years, back when I was working for Capture Film and Quantum Releasing. And for new investors or financiers, we through word of mouth, we get to know them and they get to know us, and then we present projects that we have, and then we work together with them. So I think that is important. I mean, I think that what makes us it gets easy for us to get in contact with producers or financiers is because, we have been around distributing movies for many years, and that helps a lot. I mean, experience in this business, like I would say most businesses is very important. It makes things much easy.
Oh, exactly. Well, on that note, on the stuff that's easy, I'm going to flip that. Let's talk about something hard. What obstacle did you encounter on a past project, and how did you overcome it, and what did you learn?
I think that for everybody.
You what?
This pandemic.
Oh yeah, well,
a huge obstacle.
So how are you? How has that affected you? What have you guys been doing for the last year?
For the last 2 years.
The last 2 years. Oh yeah, I guess.
For 1 year and a half. No, we have. I think that here is where you have to be very patient. Very patient. You cannot rush anything. You gotta wait, and just wait until things are back to normal. And basically, that's what we have been doing. Projects that we were supposed to release last year, we didn't release them. We stopped the whole process because it's a huge problem having all the theaters closed,
right,
or open, but with 15-20% capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just so here in America; it's everywhere in the world. There are still, countries where theaters are still closed completely, not even 10%, 20% capability. So and because we do distribution of our productions or co-productions worldwide, we need to make sure that all countries are okay. We can release our movies, everywhere at the same time to fight piracy, to make sure things are done in a certain way. We follow our processes, our protocols, and that's very important. So I think that, for example, last year and this year, patience is key, is very important. And of course, because we have the experience, we understand that it's better to be patient than to rush things up and mess things around. So, a lot of producers, they say, oh, no, go ahead, or I'm going to release this movie through Google or iTunes or Amazon. It doesn't matter. It's okay. And they are losing,
revenue.
I mean, a lot of other outlets, platforms, and ways, the right way, because I mean, you can distribute a movie or produce a movie the wrong way,
right?
But
right.
you can produce and distribute a movie the right way. So in this case, because we do things right, we prefer to wait, and that's what we have been doing. And things are coming back. Things are coming back. In America, everybody's getting vaccinated. Theaters are opening. AMC chairs today, they jumped 100%. They went down. They went all the way down to 2.5 per share, and today they were at 70. So I mean, goodness. Why? Because people are excited. Because people are enthusiastic about what is going to happen this year. So that's how it is. That's how it has to be.
Well, there's two things I want
to listeners. To listeners, I would say, be patient. Patience is this business.
Well,
and of course, work hard. Work hard. You have to do both at the same time. Working hard and being patient, which is complicated, but that's how it needs to be.
Exactly. Is just two follow-up questions on that. Number one, did you have to redo your contracts for these distribution deals? And number two, when do you think you can release movies worldwide?
Yeah, certain contracts we did rewrite them or readjust them based on what it was happening. So we did that for certain contracts.
Okay.
And for the release of certain titles, yeah, we're gonna start releasing them fourth quarter this year.
Okay.
And then from next year, first, second quarter, third quarter. So things are back. I think that by the end of this year, things are going to be much better. So we're hoping that, from fourth quarter this year, we're going to start releasing movies that we have been holding for already 1 year and a half, 2 years.
Wow.
So that's the plan. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this sort of leads into my next question. If you could now, aside from the pandemic, if you could magically solve 2 problems, what would they be?
Aside from the pandemic?
Yeah. Okay, that could be one, but you got to think of another one.
I would say have artificial intelligence to have better writers.
I don't know if I agree.
I'm hoping Elon Musk can create some artificial intelligence that can have a writer writing or a machine writing better screenplay.
Oh, is that because you can't find decent screenplays? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you find, you got. I mean, of course, I'm a writer myself, and we are all enthusiastic about our creations. But a lot of times, not a lot of time, I'd say most of the time, writers they don't have this marketing vision. They need to understand more how the world works and how they will interact with their creations and so you take a screenplay now and you have to readjust it and that screenplay becomes something different at the end. So that would be cool to have a artificial intelligence writer that can understand all that in advance. How the Germans they think, the English, the Indians, the Chinese, Japanese create screenplays that they will fit with for everybody. So that would be
that might have already started. That may have already started. Although I will say, just for the readers out there, there is a book, this is an aside, but there is a book that I read that I thought was great called Writing for the Greenlight. And basically it tells you, okay, you might be passionate about your script, but it's not going to sell. So you really have to pick the commercial genres. And the author, I'll put it in the show notes, but the author he was in distribution too, or marketing, and he very clearly knew what sold. Anyway, I'll put that in the notes. Okay, so AI screenplays. Okay, no one's ever said that, so that's a new one. Okay, now the next one is, what sort of future projects? And once we, hopefully next year we could start filming again and distributing again. What sort of future projects are you planning, and what do you think the Chinese studios are looking for?
I mean, I think that nowadays you gotta really do epic, well done movies like more than before, because competition is wild. So you really have to focus on good projects, and what I mean by that is that you have to have good production value, good sceneries, good actors, a good director. You really have to have good elements in order for you to be able to distribute through the Chinese distribution companies and around the world is the same. Buyers, distributors, theater chains are very picky now, and especially now, like this, next year, the next 3 years is going to be super difficult because you have all the studios holding on their movies, like us, basically. Everybody's doing the same. I mean, everybody who knows the business, they are doing the same. So they're going to start releasing those movies, and schedules are going to be very, very tight, and only the best of the best of the best, they're going to be released. So the exhibitors, the theaters, they're going to get used to great cinema. And then if you come up with something in 2 years that is not good, they're not going to take it, of course. I mean, that's how it's going to be.
So are these projects that, would you say, if there is a particular genre that is more sellable that you might be interested in, or that the Chinese studios might be interested in?
We like commercial stuff, very commercial, action-driven titles, disaster, creatures, those are the titles that they can be distributed, not just in China, but everywhere. And a creature movie can be easily distributed in Germany, in Japan, in China, in USA, Latin America, France, Italy, everywhere. But a drama or a documentary, then you have challenges, or comedy.
Right.
Because, they don't translate the same. Is much more complicated.
And when you look at a project, is it, if it doesn't have attachments like a director or a star, is that a real minus?
Yeah. The director is very important. Director and actors.
Right.
Those are key.
So if you were looking at a project, you probably would want it packaged before you guys got involved.
Yeah. Yes, preferably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here is a trick question. What question did I not ask you that I should have?
Why to work with the Chinese now?
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you, why work with the Chinese now?
Well, I would say working with China right now is tricky more than before. Before it was complicated. Now it's even more complicated.
Okay.
Because because they are focusing a lot in their domestic productions.
Right.
Chinese are in a certain way supporting more Chinese cinema.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much more complicated to work with China right now, and the censorship it's much more complex now than before. Right. Getting movies into China right now from America or from Europe, the number is lower than before. You can get less movies into China. So working with China right now is very challenging. I think that you have to be very passionate about the Chinese culture. You need to understand very well the Chinese culture. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, we have been working with China since like 2012. I believe that we are one of the first companies to do co-productions with China, with SMG, for example, Shanghai Media Group. We did Last Flight. It did very well worldwide. And that's because we were very passionate about, the Chinese culture, the Chinese way to see things, etc. So you need to understand that. If you don't understand that, and you're gonna try to work with China without really understanding the challenges that you're gonna encounter, is going to be very, very tough. So I think that is important. Is really important now more than before, to really understand how the Chinese culture works, and we have that experience. So that's something that we feel very strong about, because we understand very well the Chinese culture. We have been working with the Chinese for many years, and we are extremely well positioned to work with the Chinese.
So when you work with the Chinese, do you bring them a script?
Both ways, but
Okay.
most of the time, yeah, we are the ones that actually we bring the screenplay to them. Screenplay to them, yeah, and then if they want to collaborate in a certain way, they do. So yeah, but sometimes they do, but most of the time is us. We bring the screenplay to them, and then of course we start working for those screenplays on a very early stage of development, so it can be adjusted to fit the Chinese, market.
Exactly. Well, good. That's I'm glad to hear. Even though there are challenges working with China, we read about it every day. We hear about their domestic market is really doing fantastic, and a few of the films in the domestic market are doing very well. And yes, it is very competitive, and it is tricky to get past censorship and all the rules. But it's like America and China; it's two huge markets, too big to ignore, kind of thing. So my last question is: what advice would you give those aspiring to tap into the Chinese market?
Are you talking about like investors, producers,
people
distributors?
who want? Let's say you want to either find a producer, or you want to find an investor, or perhaps you already have a project and you want to distribute. What advice would you give those aspiring to tap into the Chinese market? And by that I mean, perhaps you want to find either a producer or investor. Or on the other, and then
I see. But so that would be an American or European who wants to get into the Chinese market, or who wants to find investors or producers, talent, distributors in China. I would say to them, first, read about China as much as you can, learn about the Chinese culture as much as you can, and then travel to China. Stay there for 6 months, 1 year before presenting your projects. Live there, and then after you understand the culture, because it's very different. It's very different approach, how you talk to them, how you deal with them, how you put together a project with them is very, very different than the way we do it here in the Western world. So you really have to stay there for 6 months, 1 year, meet as many people as you can, get to understand them, and then you can go ahead and start presenting your ideas, or looking for producers or investors, or, all that kind of stuff. But first, make sure you understand the Chinese culture. If you can have a friend or a company that can show you around, that can explain you, that can advise you, that can, in a certain way, hang out with you for a few months. I will strongly advise that, because in China it is needed.
Well, that sounds like a side business for your company.
Yeah, maybe. I just thought about that.
You could be a consultant. You should start writing that book.
I should write about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your second book. And also start a consulting business. Definitely. You already got the company in China. Why not? Now, David, would you like to plug any projects or any social media handles or website links?
Sure. I mean, if people, they want to know more about us and the company, they can go to itinifni.com. And the way you spell that is Y like York, T like Tom, E like Italy, N like Netherlands, E like Italy, F like France, N like Netherlands, I like Italy, and then .com. So www.itinifni.com. So if the listeners, they go there, they can learn more about us. And then of course, I would like you to, all your listeners to visit the website for my book.
Of course.
the one that I'm publishing in September 11th. And that's very easy. It's www.forevertwilightinnewyork.com. So forevertwilightinnewyork.com. It's a beautiful luxury photo book, table book, art book. It has beautiful photos, beautiful poetry. It's about the World Trade Center, about the Twin Towers, about their soul that is immortal. Is those souls are perpetual, and it has a great ending. So you guys have to read the book to understand the whole thing. It's beautiful.
Well, it sounds great. Thank you for that. I'll put that in the show notes. But great. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And we'll see you at the premiere.
All right, Caryn. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank
you, Caryn.
Thank you. And now for my 3 key points and 3 takeaways. Number 1, tap a distributors network. David mentioned due to his company's track record in China, it's easier for them to connect with Chinese producers and financiers. Many times, those potential partners come to him. Instead of reaching out to a Chinese partner directly, which can be complicated, perhaps you can reach out to a distributor who already has a track record in China. Number 2, will artificial intelligence replace screenwriters? David joked about wanting machines to write screenplays. Personally, I don't think you need a machine to create different stories for different cultures. What you need is a universal theme that can resonate with any culture. Take, for example, a previous film, Dangal, an Indian film about wrestling that did gangbusters in China. Now, Scream Daily published an article entitled Amir Khan's Indian wrestling drama became a cultural phenomenon in China this year, but why? It said, one of the most important factors is that it has emotions that resonated in China, explained Prasad Chetty, a partner in Strategic Alliance, which promotes Indian films in China. In addition to the father-daughter relationship, it revolves around the sacrifices you have to make in order to achieve excellence. That's a common theme in both Indian and Chinese culture, where there's an emphasis on hard work and needing the correct support or guidance of your parents. Now, Dangal was an original film. Audiences, now this is my opinion, audiences get tired of sequels. They are hungry for new stories, but stories that resonate with universal themes. I'll put a link to universal themes in literature in the show notes. But for example, a list of universal themes in families and friendship would include belonging and acceptance, bonds of friendship, fatherhood, family traditions, importance of communication, ties that bind, unbreakable bonds, unconditional love, who you can rely on, etc. You can check out my link in the show notes for a more comprehensive list. Number 3, overcrowded market. David mentioned that for the next 3 years, distributors will have a hard time getting their films released due to the pandemic, shutting down theaters last year. Theater chains will have their pick of the best films, so make it easier on yourself by choosing a commercial genre to write in, such as action, disaster, or creature feature stories, and also include a universal theme. Now, 3 takeaways. Number 1, find an old China hand. I hope David does seriously consider opening a consulting side business. You can check his IMDb page or company website, Etinifi Pictures, which I'll link in the show notes. How to work with China. As David said, you need to realize that business is done differently over there. You need to spend time there and learn the culture, then pitch your projects after you've done some research on the China market. Number 3, write for the market. David mentioned he thinks AI writers would be a solution to his problem finding suitable scripts. Suitable in this case means commercial, especially going forward when theatrical market will be overcrowded. So production companies will think twice before making a drama or comedy, which can be a tough sell overseas. I mentioned the book Writing for the Greenlight, How to Make Your Script the One Hollywood Notices, and that's by Scott Kirkpatrick. I'll put a link in the show notes. Well, that's the show. Thank you for listening. To show your support, please go to iTunes, subscribe, and leave a rating so other people can find this podcast. As screenwriters, producers, and talent agents, check out my new website, The China List, at www.chnlist.com. Industry pros, such as producers, talent agents, and distributors, sales agents, and creative execs, can find material before their competition. Writers can get their material in front of decision makers, as well as access our private writing jobs page. Well, that's the show. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you at the premiere. Bye. 一会儿见。